Welcome to another episode of the Ambitious Legacy Podcast. I'm your host, Sabine the Purpose Lawyer. Thank you for listening and thank you for helping me be on purpose. So, one of the things I was thinking about is how, you can get to a certain stage in your life, whether you be, uber successful or successful in your eyes, whatever it is, and things can still happen to you. We always think that nothing can happen to us, like we're just invincible until things start to manifest. And we could see, like, within the last year with COVID, how, just nothing is promised. And I'm always here talking about the documents that you need to have in place and how you need to plan. But more important than that is also the people that you need to have in place. So why was I, sort of thinking about all this is Wendy Williams has been in the news lately. And I really have an affinity for her because I used to listen to her radio show. And so she moved to the talk shows, a different dynamic, but really, really sort of liked her for some reason. So it kind of bothered me that she has been in the news. There's been talk that she either had a stroke or some sort of, illness or maybe, drug abuse. And the latest thing is that she's been suffering from some sort of mental disability. So whether it be dementia or something else. And so what happened was because her banker felt that, something wasn't right or that she needed some sort of level of protection, he went ahead to court and told the court that they needed to get involved, which is really not the best thing that you do when somebody sort of, when you when you feel like that's the situation, unless something critical is happening that you need to stop. But really, in any event, that's what he did. And so the courts froze her assets. And so if the courts freeze her assets, now she doesn't have access to the assets that she needs to care for her everyday life, right? So now she had to file a lawsuit to try to get access to that. And now it just opened up a big can of worms, right? And so the problem with all of this is because now she's out of control. Now, once the courts step in and they get involved with deciding who's going to manage your assets and putting people in place, and those people got to get paid, and of course it's not going to be cheap, now she's not in control as to how she would want things to go. And so what should have happened in this case, and this is giving me, Britney Spears vibes, right? This is what it sounds like. Somebody else comes in, they just take over, and you're out of control and you don't get to decide what happens. So what should have happened in her case is that she should have had some planning in place. And so the thing about planning is that it's specific to the person's life, right? So Wendy, we know because it's in the news and always has been that she's had a history of drug abuse, that she's had, health issues in the past, and she's had other sort of like maybe emotional issues in the past. And so given that, that and the high stakes that she is a high net worth earner, et cetera, there should have been at least, in my opinion, a trust in place for her. So now, how would this have played out if she had a trust? All of her assets would have been owned by her trust. Her bank accounts, everything's owned by the trust. She puts somebody, a person, right, in place, or maybe a company or a trust company that she, is comfortable with and feels like would have her best interests in mind. Puts them in place. They would, upon there being a concern of her not having capacity, not being able to make her decisions, then be able to manage her assets. So what does that mean? The show continues, right? Maybe not her show literally, but the show goes on, right? All of her expenses and whatever is necessary to keep her life going and keep her comfortable and give her what she needs, that continues. Why? Because there's somebody who has all the directions, all of the, the rules, all of her desires. Somebody knows that and knows what to do if something happens. That's what happens when you put a trust in place. But even if she didn't have a trust, let's say that's aspirational at this point, right? If she at least had a healthcare proxy in place, a healthcare proxy would be able to say, okay, if something happens to me where I can't make health decisions for myself, then there is somebody else who can make these decisions. And that person will be able to say what type of treatment she needs and et cetera, et cetera. That person will be able to be either a guardian for her or a conservator for her who basically steps in and can make decisions about her life. So now we don't have somebody else who is assigned by the court, who she has no idea who they are, coming in to make decisions. Another thing, even probably more important, given her situation, would have been a power of attorney. A power of attorney would have said that there's this individual who gets to make the financial decisions for me if I can't make them for myself. And she could say, does she want a doctor to decide that? Does she want a loved one or whomever it is that she wants to make that decision? All of this would have avoided this situation that she now finds her in. And I really just hope that people start to think about these things so that they know that there are steps, simple, easy steps that you can put in place, especially given somebody who doesn't have money as an issue, right? Who's not even concerned about that. And as far as dollars go, there's really some simple measures that can be taken to really cover these type of situations and scenarios. So I talked about a few things. I talked about a trust. I talked about healthcare proxy, power of attorney. And given her situation as it relates to possibly having dementia, that is really something that's really sensitive as well, because if that is the case, there are some steps that need to be taken. There needs to be some direction as to how do you want to be cared for in that type of situation? How do you want to be treated? How do you want your life to go if those type of things occur? So it's really important that you take the power that you have to make these decisions for yourself. And if you know a loved one or somebody else, have these conversations, because that's the problem. People like her don't have people in their corner who have their best interests in mind, right? And I'm definitely overgeneralizing here, but when people don't have people in their corner who don't have their best interests in mind and don't tell them, hey, are you sure? Do you not have these things in place? You want to make sure. Have you ever thought about this? Because that's how we sort of get the word out. That's how we sort of get people mobilized and sort of moving and getting their financial life in order. It's all related, people. It's not just about the documents, but it's about just, living your best life going forward. So today, I'm going to be talking about a different type of asset, right? That's also going to likely be part of your future legacy plans, going to need to be protected. What I've been saying lately, that, we need to continue to have these conversations about the digital world. And I've been apparently coining it the digital revolution. So it's NFTs, virtual land, all that good stuff. I'm super excited for you to hear this conversation because it's a very different take on what we normally hear about this, and sort of like ties it into how it is critical for our everyday lives to start thinking about these things and moving in this direction. So let's get into it with my next guest, Kareem Hayes, also known as INF the author. All right. Welcome to the Ambitious Legacy Show. INF the author, Kareem Hayes. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm really excited to be here today.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm excited to have you. Guys, if you don't know this man here, he's doing a lot of things, and he's done a lot of impressive things. He has an incredible story that he's going to share with us. So we're just going to kind of get into it. So tell me a little bit about, or the audience also, a little bit about your background. How did you get to where you are? Like, I know you have a really colored path and you like to share about that. So tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, well, I'm a self-published author, right? I sold 150,000 copies of my book, completely independent.
Wow.
Book is called Necessary Evil. It's loosely based on my experiences and how I was fortunate enough to change my life around using African-centered metaphysics, right? So it's a powerful piece. It's also based on the social ecology of New York's drug trade during the mid to early 90s. It's a really great book. What led me to that was I had a rough background, like growing up. I could go through the story, but a lot of times I feel like my story is cliche, because so many young men from our background, from the hood, have sold drugs and been in prison and been in trouble and stuff like that. But I can tell you one thing. Even when I was running around the street doing the wrong thing, I knew that I wanted to pursue my art. I knew that I knew that after 30, I wouldn't smoke weed and I wouldn't drink and I would change my life around. Yeah, who wants to do life in prison? Like, I don't care about what nobody's saying. Whatever rap song you heard, jail is not cool.
It's not it.
Jail is not fun. Being shot is not fun. It hurts. You bleed a lot, and you end up with reoccurring ailments afterwards.
Wow.
So,
what was the pivotal moment for you though? Because obviously you had this vision that, okay, I'm not going to do this forever. But what made you say, okay, now is the time?
I don't know. It was like an amalgamation of things.
Okay.
Like just being fed up.
Okay.
You know, having children. I have my kids. You know, I
Okay.
have 3 children.
Okay.
That added to it, and just knowing that I had to evolve. I really
Right.
can't say it was one thing because, you know, even after I got shot, I still like thought I was like Tupac. You know, like I thought I
Right.
was tough after
Right.
that. You
He
know
was
what
like,
I mean?
"Oh, got my stripes. I'm good
Yeah,
now."
you know what it is. I keep it real with you. It's being conscious, just being from a conscious background. And
Okay.
when I say conscious, no particular faith. So you know, I'm not Muslim or Christian or anything. I'm
Okay.
spiritual, but I'm not religious. And when you're being a conscious person, it's like I can't serve 2 masters, right?
Right.
I can't
100%.
sit here on one side and call myself like a street guy or something like that when that's contradictory to what my core beliefs are. You know, my
Right.
core beliefs is that, you know, us as a people, you know, we're the progenitors of all mankind. You know, every ology that exists, we created. And, you know, how can I be wise and civilized and still be a street person and
Right.
be selling
Well,
drugs and poisoning my people? So,
right. That's powerful. But you said you came from like a conscious background. Like, so where was that deposited, or where can you pull that? Where did you pull that from?
I stayed with my dad for like 2 years.
Okay.
And my dad is like he was like a big part in my life. You know, when I came to him, I had already came from like a crack house.
Okay.
You know, so when I came to my dad, I had sores all over my leg. I didn't even
Oh,
know how to
wow.
bathe. I was like 10, 11 years old. And he was like, listen, man, we're going to change this around, you know? So my dad used to get me up at 6 o'clock in the morning. He used to have me run like 2 miles a day.
Wow. At 10?
Then I used to have to do
Wow.
push-ups on my knuckles. My dad's really militant. Shout out, Dad. Love you, Dad. You know, he's a principal right now at Watley High School.
Oh, awesome.
And yeah, it was my father that instilled that in me. And I you know, he had me read the autobiography of Malcolm X when I was 11. You
That
know,
is
so
powerful.
when I read that, that changed my life. You know, I wanted to be like that guy. You know, so that was a big deal. And I still ran away from home. I ran away from home at 11 years old. Got in the
11
street.
years
Yeah,
old.
got in the street. You know, I ended up being in foster care and just in and out of trouble. But the thing was the lessons that he gave me,
Never left.
they never left. And I took them with me everywhere. And one thing that he used to do when I used to come home from school, I would be like, my homework would be like 5 pages. So he would say, over the weekend, you're going to read the whole book, the whole textbook.
Wow.
And I'm
See,
like,
and my daughter thinks I'm bad. Wait till I get home.
And he would say, well, you know, as a black man in America, it's not good enough to be twice as good. You got to be 3, 4, 5 times, 10 times as good. So that mindset I applied to everything I did in life. You know, like my friends used to get mad at me. I don't go to the gym as much as I used to. I still work out, but I used to go to the gym an hour earlier before my friends just so I could have an hour
leg up.
workout before they get there and then work out with them while I'm exhausted, because I always had this mentality to be competitive and be better than other people. You got to like push more than double, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, like, you know, to the point of like, exhaustion.
Right.
So that work ethic has always like helped me down. If it's all right, like even segue into like how I sold all those books.
Yeah, because I was going to ask
yeah.
you, like, so I see where the passion came from to get the book written, right? So how did you sell 150,000 books
So
independent?
So I went through a bad breakup. You know, always take your breakup energy and use it for something. But I went through a bad breakup. Then I was staying on my friend's couch. So he's like, what you going to do with your life? I'm like, yo, I'm going to sell books. So I took a box.
Like, what?
Yeah. So I took a box of 33 books and I sold them in a blizzard because I had no money. So I really needed the money. So you know how you have the awnings of stores?
Yes.
I would be under the awning like, hey, what's up, brother? Can I show you my book? Hey, can I show you my book? And I sold,
and it was people outside buying books in the blizzard.
So I sold 33 books in the blizzard. So that's when I took that as, yo, this is what God wants for me because it's all I had. And I continue to do it. I mean, I could show you pictures of me like on Black History Month with like on Black Friday with a big sign. Hey, you need to buy black with a sign over my neck. You know, one time I lost my voice and I wrote a letter and I was running around showing people the letter like, and I passed them the book and I sold a bunch of books on that day too. So I don't think I'm a good salesman. I just think that I'm honest.
And you believed in your product.
And people could feel the passion from it, yeah.
Right. That's awesome. So you wrote this book. You sold 150,000 copies. and you felt like there was more? Like, did you feel like this is the thing that I needed to do, is continue to sell these books, or this birthed other things out of you?
It birthed other things. I mean, the people told me it needed to be a movie, which I was hoping they would say that. But when the people told me that, I was like, yeah. And then, I'm not a young guy. So standing outside in the cold in the summer, like all these things, it affects your body. So I was like, I can't keep doing this forever. What's my next thing? What's the next chapter? The only next thing to do is make my book a film.
Okay.
And that was a long path. I got a lot of rejection. I had paid somebody to write the script. It didn't necessarily come out the way I wanted to.
Okay.
And then I met my writing mentor, Jamal Hodge.
Okay.
But you should really interview Jamal Hodge. This guy is like a smart guy. He's almost as smart as me. I'm joking. I'm joking. Nah, but he's a really smart guy.
Okay.
And he's an award-winning filmmaker. And he comes from a similar background. Matter of fact, my middle name is Jamal. The main character in my book's name is Jamal. And when I first stepped to Jamal, I had only sold like 5. I didn't sell any books at the time. I stepped to him and I was like, yo, let's make this a movie. And he said, well, where's your budget? Like he came with the concrete truth.
Yeah,
do you have money? Do you have a budget? Then he looked at it, he said, it's not even edited right. I don't even want to look at this. So, the average person would have felt insulted. And at first I did. But I knew that I had to take that rejection and do something with it.
Yeah.
So I sold 5,000 books, paid for a professional to edit the grammar and content, and not the content, just the grammar. And then I stepped to him again. And I was like, yo, look, but at that time, I think I was maybe at 10,000 books so far.
But even just 5,000 or 10,000 books is a lot of books to sell independent, like literally standing outside selling those books.
Yeah, and I did it in Philly, Boston, Connecticut. Like I would drive places with a trunk full of books and like just enough money for toll and my first meal.
Wow.
And kind of say to myself, well, I got to make this amount of money for me to even go home, for me to deserve to go home. Like, so just put, delayed gratification, so, and I use that same method when I need to write or get something done. Fast forward, Jamal Hodge took me to Harlem Film House where I met C.R. Capers, and they had a lot of script writing competitions. So I have this firm belief that you enter into the kingdom of God as a child. So every time I take on a new endeavor, I don't take it on with the merit of past accomplishments. So I didn't.
That's good. That's good because it keeps you humble and it keeps you, in that hungry space where you're going to really go after it.
Yeah. So I didn't go into Harlem Film House thinking I was this hotshot author who sold a whole bunch of books. I came in there thinking, these guys are script writers. These guys are in the film industry. I need to get in the film industry. Let me see what I got to do to get in.
Right.
And being willing to do that, I wrote like 10 short films, 2 features. I won an award for a sci-fi piece I wrote called The Hole. So it took me about a year and a half where I got my confidence up like, yo, I could write scripts now too. I'm a script writer too.
Right.
So so that's how I got to that point, to creating it, writing it as a film and stuff like that. Then we had to raise the money for it. And if I'm talking about my film project, I also got to shout out another film project that I'm working on. Is that okay?
So what happened with that film project first?
Oh, it's going down.
Oh, okay.
It's going down. We're releasing it in the summer.
This summer?
Yeah, this summer.
Oh, wow.
We got some good supporters. Anita Durst, who is like, she runs Shishama and the Durst Foundation. They do a whole bunch of art events because I paint too. It's like a whole other segment. We're not going to do that today.
I was going to say, I told you guys he does a lot of things.
But, me being an artist, I met her. And so she's the executive producer on the film. We just connected with Knights DAO. So Knights DAO is a crypto exchange platform. And, I've been courting them and they've been talking to me like, yo, so I think that they're going to get on board. We're waiting for the ink to dry now, literally. Right. So probably by the time this interview is out, the ink have dried.
Okay.
But yeah, just working with them, I got them on board.
On this book for the necessary evil.
For the necessary evil. So I got some really big partners. Harlem Film House, they do a lot of really good stuff for people of color in our community that's getting into the film industry. So C.R. Capers, she's a big part of it. And then director Jamal Hodge, Hodge Cinema House is the name of the company. And he's making me number 2 with that company too. So, aside from me convincing him to jump on board and direct my stuff, he's convinced to add me to his team. So
Okay.
that's dope.
So and then you said you have another film
And
project that you're working on. How did those two things connect?
Okay, so how does I just started writing scripts. So I've been in the community writing scripts, and a good friend of mine named Glitch. I know I'm throwing out all these names, but a good friend of mine named Glitch, he introduced me to JL Shot That.
Okay.
JL Shot That is like the visionary behind all of New York drill. Like, so Fabio Foreign, Pop Smoke, Little Tay, all these guys have worked with JL.
Okay.
And JL being a dope director, a dope visionary, he wanted to do something bigger than just a music video. He wanted to do a film.
Okay.
So I'm like, yo, I'll write it. So now, we got this series that we're working on. We're going to start shooting in March called AMRAC. And,
okay.
So AMRAC is going to be dope. And
is this around their whole crew? Is it what it's about?
Yeah, I'm not supposed to give too much of it away because it's so new. Like I can tell you more about Necessary. I can tell you about that.
Okay.
But I can say that it's heavily based about the Jamaica Queens community.
Oh, okay.
And you know the word mixie. You know what mixie means? All right. So so Jamaica Queens is mixie.
Mixie. Well, I grew up in Rosedale, which is like it's next door, but it's not Jamaica.
Yeah,
it's not Jamaica.
Yeah. Okay. So you was outside. So
a
little bit, right? So it's about how mixy Jamaica Queens is. It's an urban drama, cautionary tale.
Gotcha.
And it's a dope piece. And unlike Necessary Evil, which is based on the book, kind of like based on my life work, this one is a collaborative effort with the community. So it's really community based. With Necessary Evil, I had a lot of professional actors. With this one, we taking people that might have never acted before.
Okay.
And they're getting different workshops and stuff like that. And
that's kind of dope too.
Yeah.
That's
and we also have King Corey, and Kayla is a part of it, and Glitch is a part of it. Kayla worked with a lot of court TV shows and Jerry Springer, so she's the producer. And Corey is also a director. He worked on the set of Power. And Glitch is our EIC, so he's an executive in charge.
Well, I'm excited to see that project come to pass and be able to take a look at it. But so in the midst of all of this, how have you found the time to become now? I know that you do a lot and you speak a lot about the metaverse and digital, the whole digital revolution that's happening. How did you get into that and get so knowledgeable?
Well, during the pandemic, when the pandemic started, I got scared. And I didn't care about the film or my dreams anymore. All I cared about was providing for my wife and my children. I was like, yo, what's going to happen? Is the world going to go into a crisis? Oh!
Right. So, like everybody else.
Yeah,
right.
So I'm wrapping my head up just to go to the store. I'm like putting extra stuff on my face. I look like them people when they go to the beehives. That's how I used to look going to the store. And a friend of mine said, yo, put some money on Ethereum. So I had put like $300 on Ethereum. I bought one Ethereum for $300. My wife bought some too.
Oh, $300. That's great.
Yeah. So and then a little while later, that $300 was like $1,700. So I said, wait, what am I doing?
Yeah.
He said, let me put some focus on. I think I need to pay attention to this, So he turned me on to this game called Decentraland.
Okay.
Me being
a game. That's a game.
A game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a game. It's a metaverse game.
Okay.
And me being from the background that I come from, my great grandmother on my father's side owned a house.
Okay.
And I know so many Black families that have a story where we owned a house. My great grandmama owned a house, and then somebody gave us some money, and we all moved to the projects because we thought the projects was better than owning our own house.
Haven't I been talking about this, folks?
So I said, Dad, well, this is virtual land. I don't got enough money for a house, but I got enough money in my drawer to buy a piece of land. So I had this burning desire. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, it was literally from the bottom of my stomach that said, yo, you have to buy this land. At that time, I didn't know anything about crypto. So I did what I had to do, and I bought a piece of land in Decentraland. That $1,000 piece of land, I've been getting offers like right now, 2 years later, I'm getting offers for like $10,000, $12,000.
Wow.
For something I spent $1,000 for. So I'm never going to sell. Yeah, so I'm never going to sell it. For anybody, I'm never going to sell. I'm never going to sell.
Right.
But just the idea of that let me know that I need to get into this sector.
Yeah.
I needed to understand this space.
So how does this work? Because you're saying this is a game, and within this game, you can purchase land. why is that valuable? Like,
Because in the metaverse and in these games, you're still doing like real world activity.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me mentally, what I was thinking was, I was like, well, the world's going into a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
The idea, like the way we feel about hygiene and germs,
Right
like
now.
it's going to be different. You know,
Right.
people are going to, like, I looked at Zoom and I said, well, the stock in Zoom is going up. People are
Mhm.
investing in Zoom.
Right.
People want to have more Zoom meetings. It's more acceptable to work remotely.
Mm-hmm.
This land has to be the future of things.
Wow.
And then I looked at the type of companies that were investing in it. You know, you have Atari
Mm-hmm.
investing in it. You know, you have people like Steph Curry getting into it. You know, Snoop Dogg getting into it, and then all these other bigger companies. So it was just like a natural thing. You know,
Right.
I'm not a person I'm not really good with like the stats. I couldn't tell you the statistics. I'm a person that kind of moves off of instinct,
Mm-hmm.
and my soul told me that this is what it is.
Okay.
I looked at the blockchain, and if I showed you a picture, they couldn't see it. But
Right.
when you look at a model of a blockchain, it looks like this. Looks like a bunch of blocks connected by like one thin strand.
Yeah.
And when I saw the blockchain, I said, this is digital DNA. This is what DNA looks like.
That's
this
a
is
great way to
digital
put
DNA.
that.
And then I said, how do you control people? What makes the blockchain valuable? What makes the blockchain valuable is data. That string of data, that string of information. How do you control mankind? You control mankind by knowledge. So this is knowledge and data that's chronologically ordered, that can't be altered.
Right.
And we know where we come from. Our history has been altered. You can't alter the history of the blockchain.
That is so good. I wasn't even thinking about that. How us as a people, right? There's so many things that happen in our history that many of us are just not aware of because it was erased and it was intentionally done. But this will never be able to be erased.
You can never erase it. And every address is transparent. So if you wanted to know what Bill Gates was doing with his Ethereum, you can look up his address and see what he's doing. So there's no transaction that could be hidden. That's why they caught like a couple billion from those guys that stole money years ago. Because you can't, you could never, you have to be transparent with the address.
So it can be traced back to where?
It always can be traced back. So I was like, this thing is going to take over the world, you know? And it's kind of like, I'm jumping around. Is that okay?
No, yeah, we're good.
You know, with you being a lawyer, and I was going to say to you that everything is going to be on the blockchain.
I know. So this has been the conversation.
Yeah.
This has been so like my internal conversation. Everything has been pushing me to like, yo, this is the next thing.
Everything is going to be on the blockchain. My prediction is that stocks are going to be replaced by coins. Every ledger is going to be replaced by an NFT, as opposed to all that paperwork you got to sign and all that stuff. That stuff is crazy.
So how does that work? How does the NFT work? Because now we're out of Decentraland, right? So we're just on the blockchain. How do NFTs replace paper? Like, and why do we?
Well, NFT is a custom token, right? So it's a token that has the definition that how you minted it. So you could have minted a book. You could have minted a piece of art. You can mint some music. And I feel like it's going to move to, like, I got land minted. You're going to start getting real land being minted.
In the real world?
In the real world.
Okay.
And it's going to be represented by an NFT on the blockchain because it's going to be a lot more convenient for you to purchase that NFT and the transfer of ownership to go to you just from a simple crypto transaction, than opposed to sitting somewhere and paying a whole bunch of money.
Yeah. So all that paperwork, this recording of the deeds and doing all that
even
stuff.
as we speak, NFTs are replacing credit. You know, you got people who they could get in the clubs, they could go certain places because they have an $80,000 Bored Ape.
So are you serious? So because I own like this piece of art, that's just sort of signifying my value or my status.
Your status in life, yeah. So those things are like starting to represent that, you know?
Wow. How far off is this? Like, how soon?
For me, it feels like any moment now.
Really?
But people will say maybe 10 to 20 years, but every time you look up, something's changing and things are different. And then when you look at the world, we're in World War III, right? I don't want to scare anybody.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. I've been having that in the back of my mind.
People don't look at the layers of it, right? Like, you know, you eat fatty foods for about 10 years, and then next thing you know, you have this irreversible high blood pressure and cholesterol. So I think what we see happening overseas right now is the symptoms manifesting from the
what's been
disease
going
that was
on.
already internal. Because
Mm,
even during the whole Bitcoin and crypto battle,
mm,
you had a point where China was dominant over blockchain mining. And
okay.
then they denounced it and kicked all the miners out.
Right.
Then America started to get dominion over it. But
Mm,
then now there's a whole competition for who's going to have the world dollar,
mm,
And China is fighting for that. America is somewhat losing its power
I see.
as a superpower.
Mm-hmm.
It's losing the allure. It still
Right.
has the power, but America's image has been
Mm-hmm.
tainted,
Mm-hmm.
So then you
Yeah.
have that financial war that was going on. Then you have a war going on with the supply chains, right? So
Mm-hmm.
why is America being blackballed? Why is it taking so long for supplies to get here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the other thing that I'm not going to speak about that some people could say it might have been germ warfare or
Mm-hmm.
biological warfare for that
Right.
thing to pop off the way it
Mm-hmm.
did and how it shake the whole world up.
Yeah.
And now we have a physical conflict because these guys want to be cool with NATO,
Yeah.
but all this stuff was brewing. Then right before the physical conflict, Russia says, hey, yo, we mess with Bitcoin and Bitcoin is legal over here. Maybe they're
Ah.
saying Bitcoin is legal over here because they know that they're about to get a whole bunch of sanctions from NATO when they
Mm-hmm.
go invade the Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
But the sanctions can't harm them if most of their balance sheet is in Bitcoin.
You're right. That makes, I mean, all these things are sort of like they're all sort of coming together. And what I've been hearing, like in the news, and what's been going on with all this the digital revolution, which I like to call it, is that there's going to be a shift of power. Have you ever read the book 1984?
No.
So it's a very interesting book. It's about I can't even like really describe it in a succinct way, but basically it talks about the fact how the continent and the government as we know it are sort of going to shift and merge. And so there'll be like, North America will be part of, and South America will be one nation. And then like Asia and Russia will be one nation. And so it's showing signs of that, how things are sort of shifting, powers are shifting. America's not, won't be the dollar as we know it. So if you read the book, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking
Wow.
about,
No,
and that's
I
why it's sort
believe
of
you.
giving
I
me those
believe you.
vibes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and I think that our community,
Mm-hmm.
we kind of got to learn, that and just really be on point
Mm-hmm.
because there's going to be, and I don't want to sound like dystopian or
right.
but there's going to be a big separation between the haves and the
Mm-hmm.
have-nots. And,
So before you get into that, so
the-
I wanted to know, like, what do you think this means for people of color or Black people?
What it means for people of color is, I mean, if I had a choice and I
Mhm.
could convince everybody, I'd say to cash in all your money and turn it into crypto.
Okay.
To take take the bulk of your wealth and make it Bitcoin or Ethereum. And then people will say, well, that thing is extremely volatile and it keeps going up and down. It goes up and down.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the American dollar is consistently going down, and your buying power is consistently going down. And Bitcoin is decentralized. It can't be controlled the way the American dollar can be controlled.
Mhm.
And if you want to be smart, you got to do what they do and not what they say. So
Right.
every
Mhm.
week you're going to see something on the news that's going to be negative about cryptocurrency.
Mhm.
But when you look at what they're doing, Russia added to their balance sheet. America has added to their balance sheet.
Is it Google as well?
Google is opening up a blockchain department. Amazon is opening up a blockchain department. Mark Zuckerberg turned the whole name of his
The
thing
whole
into
Facebook.
Meta. He made a
Right.
failed attempt at coming out with a cryptocurrency.
Mhm.
Amazon, PayPal. What's that other thing? Cash App. Cash App turned their name to The Block. Right, because everybody want to own this thing, right? And then if you look at the trajectory of Amazon, right before Amazon rose to power, it crashed 90%. And some people could say that was intentionally done to shake out people like us.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's why, like you said, you're going to start hearing negative things because they want people to get out. They want the price to go low so that they can get in.
Yeah, and then when the
it's gonna
price
go up.
goes low, you might not see it move because they don't buy it on exchanges like we do. They call it OTC, but it's over the counter. So rich friends have rich friends that they say, hey, I'm gonna buy some Bitcoin from you for 30,000 because you got it at 30,000.
Right.
And you're not gonna see it fluctuate on the exchange. All you're gonna know is that the supply is low and there's not that much left, and all of a sudden it's gonna shoot up. And it's and we're not gonna be able to afford it. So, you want to get in while it's low. HODL, HODL stands for hold on for dear life.
Okay.
HODL and really, protect your wealth. Yeah.
So you said you would say cash in all your money and buy Bitcoin, or Ethereum. What about the NFT space?
The NFT space, I'm actually a part of an NFT project too.
Okay.
Called Ugly Duck Society.
Oh yes, tell me about it.
So ugly ducks represent you know the story of the ugly duckling? So the ugly duckling wasn't recognized in the beginning, and they thought it was ugly, but they didn't know it was a swan. Right. So a lot of times people from our community are diamonds in the rough, right? People from our neighborhoods, they don't really get recognized. They think, oh, you're just a hood person or you just ghetto. But until we do something remarkable, like, I don't know, come out with a dope rap album or an invention, then they say, oh my God, he's a swan. So that's part of the concept. And with this NFT, there's a use case.
Okay.
So part of the use case.
Tell me about use case.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have some concept about it, but maybe it's for somebody who doesn't know.
A lot of times you'll have an NFT that's just cool art. And I think that is phasing out.
Okay.
Unless you're like an established artist, like let's think that guy Gal Yosef or something like that.
Okay.
You're not really gonna sell your NFTs like that unless you're well known.
Okay.
But if there's a use case attached to it, like Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? When you buy a Bored Ape Yacht Club, you have exclusive rights to go on the yacht party. When you buy Ugly Duck, you have exclusive rights to some of my classes, different courses about NFTs. Mentorship that'll help you in the crypto space. And we have a cool use case with girls and parties and tourism throughout New York City as well.
Okay. All right, that's dope. So where do you see this going? Like, what is your ultimate goal for Ugly Duckling?
It's gonna be like Ugly Duck Society is gonna be a brand. It's gonna be like a household name, because I'm a writer too. So I have there's a dope story behind it. I don't want to get into the story, but the story is long. It's dope. They're like these mutated ducks. It's super cool. And make it something that's like kid friendly. Okay. And just use it as an avenue to build, to build financially, to build more wealth and stuff like that. But mostly educate inner city people that really don't know about NFTs, don't really know about blockchain and stuff like that.
Why do you have a passion to educate people on this stuff?
Because I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be alone. It's like a lonely space. Like, when you know what I'm talking about, where we come from. And once you start to see the light and you're like, wow, I see this now.
I want everybody to do that.
Yeah, and then once you start doing different things, you don't get to have, I revel in the idea of, we used to sit on the block together, remember? Yeah. And now we're here doing this, So you want to bring your community along. It feels like my duty.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It feels like my duty to
just... like your purpose.
Yeah, my purpose to kind of just spread this information. And I know it's vital, and I really see where the world is going if we don't know. If people...
That's the scariest part about it.
It's the scariest part about it. Yep. What Rick Ross had a saying, he said, your whole team got to eat. You got to feed everybody. So I don't want to be the only person in my crew or in my neighborhood that's doing well. I'm not doing well yet. I'm just saying, like,
don't come knocking.
Yeah, that's not doing. I don't want to be the only one doing well. I want my whole people, everybody, to do well. I want a community of people to do well, and the only way to do that is information. But information, that word, I love words. It to me is a compound word. It says in formation, so it has to form on the inside. So when you hear it. It has to resonate with you. So I don't work too hard on people it don't resonate with.
I understand.
You have to have something inside of you that wants more. And
that totally makes a lot of sense. So recently you did a post about like 6 metrics to sort of identifying or evaluating NFT. Do you want to talk about that?
I'm so sorry about that. What was the post? What was the 6 metrics?
I'll tell you what it is.
And I'll turn my phone off just so it doesn't interrupt.
That's right. Okay. So 1 was utility, then rarity, community size, trading volume, potential, and provenance. Anything you want to expound on that, or you want to...
Provenance?
Yeah.
What's provenance?
I don't know. All right, we'll skip that.
No, we could tell me what provenance means.
I don't know what provenance means.
I know. What's the first thing? Let me see.
Utility. So utility you kind of talked
So I
about.
talked about utility. Rarity is like rarity is how rare it is. Like a lot of times people have a collection. They might have like 10,000 pieces in their collection, but out of 10,000 pieces, 1,000 has the lime green hat. Right. So rarity denotes value if it's rare. Trading volume is how much money is being spent. You know, like how much money are they trading on? Like, and you could go on OpenSea, and usually like in the right-hand corner, it'll just say trading volume. So it'll let you know, okay, people have been trading this thing and they've been, you know, they made a couple million already. So this is a viable NFT project. Potential, I don't know what provenance means, sorry. But potential just means like, what's your belief? Like, what do you think this project can go? Do you believe them, or do you think this thing is a rug pull? You know, what's a rug pull?
Yeah.
A rug pull is like people who hype you up, tell you a whole bunch of stuff, say, hey, we're going to come out with this NFT. We're going to build an interactive metaverse and we're going to give out free food and free water and da-da-da. And then you buy the NFT and then you don't know who the people are. You know, like you'll find some projects that don't have any customer service. They don't have a person that's willing to stand in front of it.
Right.
That's what we're doing different with the Ugly Duck Society. Like we're actually getting out in front of it. But most of those NFT projects, you couldn't tell me who owns it or who started it outside of the Gal Yosef guy and maybe some of the Bored Ape people.
So you should be looking, if you're wanting to get into this space and maybe purchase an NFT, you should be looking, is there a true community around this? Do you know?
Yeah, and how you can check the community is in the Discord.
Okay.
You know, a lot of times but then, you know, some Discords are filled with bots and some Discords are filled with organic, real life people. And that's kind of like your goal. You know, in crypto, they have another slang, DYOR. Like, so it means like do your own research.
Okay.
You know, I always got to make that disclaimer too. Nothing I said is financial advice.
Right.
But it's really
information only.
Yeah, information only. But it's really important to do your own research. See who is behind the project. How long has the project been out? What's the goal of the project? What's the roadmap? What are they telling you they're going to give you? And is that feasible? Can they actually deliver that?
Okay. Are there any other projects that you're working on that you want to share?
Yeah. Well, besides the Ugly Duck Society, I'm also a brand ambassador for Knights DAO.
Okay.
So
Tell me a little bit more about
Knights DAO is a decentralized exchange, but they have two ends.
Okay.
So you could get in on the front end and KYC and trade stocks.
Okay.
Or you could get on the back end and you could trade crypto.
Okay. How does that work?
So how does that work? Is so when you hear DAO, they're a decentralized autonomous organization.
Okay.
So the people who are members, they actually have rights to vote based on you owning
almost like
the
a
Knights
corporation
token.
that's decentralized.
It's almost like real democracy, right?
Okay.
Because no one person has the power. Oh my gosh, no one person has all the power, and it's completely decentralized on the back end. But on the front end, you can actually purchase stocks and things of that nature. So, and they're not based in New York, but you can actually purchase some of their tokens if you live in New York. They're based in Singapore.
Okay. And I was going to say something because you mentioned how you thought your prediction is that there won't be a stock market. Everything will be on the blockchain, or it'll be, you know, digitally based. So that's okay. How do you envision that transition, if you have a thought of how that will go?
I think it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough, and a lot of companies are going to like die.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of companies.
To say it nicely.
Yeah, a lot of companies are going to die. I see something in the world where there's these disruptive business models. They keep on coming out. Like, to me, Uber is the blockchain of cab, of taxi service. To Airbnb is the blockchain of hotels and short stays. So, you know, what's going to be the legal disruptor for you? Like, what's going to be the disruptor for me in the film and book industry? And I think everybody should kind of look into their industry and have get that first position, first mover's advantage, and say, how is the blockchain going to affect my industry?
Yeah.
You know?
Wow, that's great confirmation. Because like I said, I've been thinking in that direction because I know like that's what's coming.
And then even that is going to become a service, right? Because they're going to be new business models developed. Like when me and my homeboy got together to do the NFTs, we found an NFT management guy that manages your NFT project.
Right.
But we didn't realize we needed it.
Yeah.
But, so this guy already made the next step to do that, right? So, you know,
and it's like how many years experience he has? Probably 2.
Yeah, none because
none.
because nobody knows.
Right,
Like, NFT's really been popping for about a year.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you get that first mover's experience, you can be ahead of the industry. You know, so maybe you're gonna be the first person to deal with legalities in the metaverse and legal things. You know, OpenSea is being sued right now. So maybe that's something that you could look into because a lot of these companies, banks have insurance, right? So your money is insured.
Right.
A lot of these NFT platforms, they don't have any insurance, so your money is not insured. But now that issue happened and OpenSea got hacked, now they're being sued. So this is the first time.
The first time.
So now that's like, for me, if I was in the legal industry, that's something I would pay attention to because now that shapes how you enter.
How we operate, yeah.
Exactly.
And how everything affects. Wow. This was such a rich conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
How can people find you, follow your projects, and get involved with what you're doing?
My website is KareemHayes.com or inftheauthor.com. That's INFTHEAUTHOR.com. On Instagram, it's inftheauthor.com. I'm Inf the Author, so I'm really easy to find. Just type in Inf the Author. I'm attached to so many different things. The Necessary Evil film, you can also Google that. You could Google AMRAC. You could Google. You could go to Ugly Duck Society on Instagram and join that. I'm just going to give her a whole bunch of links to put under here. And please just check me out and get down with the movement. And thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
You're dope. Go on Amazon, get the book. Necessary Evil store to get the merch.
That's right.
Yeah, you know.
Everything's available for you. All right, so thank you. And you're going to come back after the films are out. And
I'm gonna come back after the film is out. I'm gonna tell her to come out in April to audition. So y'all make sure y'all flood the comments. Y'all flood the comments and tell Sabine she needs to come out and audition, and she needs to come to Crypto Mondays and hang out with more crypto people.
That's definitely happening. Yeah, that's definitely happening.
And y'all make sure y'all tune in, like and subscribe.
Thank
you.
This
is dope. She's providing a dope service for the people. So please like and subscribe.
All right.
Inf the Author telling you to like and subscribe.
All right. Thanks.